season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky. He finishes his speech and he goes, "Hit it, Rock!" And Set It Off by Boosie Badass played. As a young white man, it was my first time hearing that song, Set It Off. Yeah, we finna set it off. You heard me? I'm finna put you in the trash bag. Tired of all these knowing me right now, for real. You wanna talk shit? You wanna run your mouth? You want some gangster strut your mother in the house? We'll set this jaw. Yeah. And that was my first time hearing Set It Off. At Samford University, it was the third or fourth week of camp. We were about where teams are right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator. Yes, sir, Ski. Yeah, baby. We are back. Oh, God, I love this instrumental. Love any instrumental opening the show up, you know. It's nice to play a song of any kind to open it up. Fans of the show know this. But there's something about an instrumental where you feel a little more clarity in what you're saying. There's a little less backdrop. And this is like father, like son. We don't borrow. Lil Wayne and Birdman, Lil New Orleans, for that ass on a Friday afternoon. Look, the Bucs choked. The Bucs choked last night. I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got a Buccaneer flag hanging in my garage because a fella named Chris Dolan, the sales manager at the time, when I was a young kid coming out of college, took a chance on me, referred me to tons of other NFL organizations to interview with for ticket sales roles. And I'll always love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so to see them go down like they did last night, it's tough. So we'll talk about that game. We'll talk about Kyle Pitts' monster performance, the guy that everybody said was going to be a bust. A couple years in the league, Kyle Pitts finally shows out. And he showed out in a big way. Kirk Cousins showed out in a big way. We will unpack this entire NFC South Thursday Night Football matchup on today's show. We're going to preview all of the betting lines. I believe it's week 15. It sounds right, week 15. We're going to preview all of the week 15 games. Army-Navy game this weekend. I don't know a single, actually, that's not true. There's one guy I saw on Instagram. I don't know his name. I think he's number 33 for Army, and he's a fullback, and he wears a full face of eye black, and he's jacked to the gills. Guy's got to be on steroids or some kind of Army fitness regimen. You know, the guy's jacked to the gills, and he's a short yardage fullback or running back, and they just hand it to him on 4th and 1. It's old style football. I cannot wait to watch Army Navy. The FCS playoffs are going on. FCS is important in this house. We were an FCS player here and in the jar. And that's FCS program is actually my head ball coach is where I got the name for the show. You're going to be in the jar today, Dupree. My ball coach, Chris Hatcher, he gave Kirby Smart and Will Muschamp their first jobs at Valdosta State. So you got the FCS playoffs this weekend. I was tempted to say no college football, but there is college football this weekend, just maybe not at the level that everybody's used to, you know. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, get you guys on the way. Over at our gym, we got a couple of guys competing in world tournaments in Las Vegas. So my professor is gone from the gym, so we will not be having that short of an episode today, unless I absolutely bomb for some reason and I got to leave out of embarrassment. That hadn't happened yet. But some days we're dialed in more than others. Today it feels like we're dialed in. So get your refreshment. I shouldn't be drinking coffee this late, but get your refreshment. Sit your tight ass down in a comfortable chair and let's get right into it. How about that transition? How that instrumental just faded out beautifully right there. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Brazil in the chat. My man Rodrigo Inacio is in the chat in Brazil. Brazil's pretty cool, right? Because they teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at school in Brazil, from what I understand. I had one Brazilian Uber driver in Denver one fateful night, and he told me that they teach Jiu-Jitsu at school in Brazil, and I think everybody should learn or be exposed to jiu-jitsu. When I plan on having kids, I ain't got a lady to do it with yet, but I plan on having kids, and I don't care if they're gay. I don't care if they hate football. I don't care if they want to be on the dance team or if they want to, fornicate with people of other races. But I do care about them training jiu-jitsu. Kazakhstan in the chat. I'm from Kazakhstan. My wife. That's all I think of. That's all I know when it comes to Kazakhstan. Damn, dude. I mean, you look at our title for the video, you look at our thumbnail for the video, it's pretty cool that within minutes of going live, we've got people in Brazil interested in football. We've got people in Kazakhstan interested in football. Bang, bang, skeet, skeet. You know, that's fire, dude. Welcome to the show, everybody. I implore you to subscribe to the channel. This is how we want to make our living doing this show, and it's completely free to subscribe, and it helps us out tremendously. So if you could just hit that button for me, I think it's right like here, somewhere around there. If you could just hit that button, man, it's free. You're not going to get emails from us. I'll only jump through the screen and bite you if you don't subscribe or if you don't like the video. It helps us out tremendously. Appreciate it. In the jar, this is where we rant about college and pro football on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. And today is no different, man. I was watching the game last night. I was watching the Tampa Bay Atlanta game last night, and I thought it was over. Tampa Bay goes into the fourth quarter. They're up 2 possessions. Atlanta looked like they weren't mustering really anything offensively. And Tampa Bay jumps out 2 possessions. I muted the TV, and I started making a clip to post on Instagram, to post on TikTok, to post on YouTube Shorts. Baking soda. Thank you for the sub, Jimmy Young. Appreciate it, brother. So I mute the game last night. I'm sitting on the couch, and when I get focused on something, I get focused on something. Or at least in this case, I got really locked in. And I got done making the clip, and I posted it, and then I look up, and the score is 26-28. I texted my boys in the group chat. I was like, how in the hell did they pull back in this game? I missed the whole comeback pretty much. But then we look up, it's 26-28. Kirk Cousins, they had, so let me paint a picture for you here. Obviously, Atlanta needed 3 points on the last possession of that game. They're in negative territory, and they face a 3rd and 28. They grab 14, 4th and 14. They're facing for the game. And Kirk Cousins finds that white boy, number 87, Sills, the 5th, who dropped a huge wide open touchdown pass earlier in the game. And he actually, Sills, I'm talking about 87, the receiver for Atlanta. He actually, on 4th and 14, game on the line, misjudged the football. He got stuck in mud for a second. I wish I had the clip. Another reason for you guys to subscribe. If we had a producer on deck, I'd probably be able to throw that clip on the screen for you right there. So subscribe to the channel so we can churn some revenue, so I can hire a producer to throw a clip of Alan Sills getting his feet stuck in the mud on 4th and 14 right down there on the screen. But anyways, he gets his feet stuck in the mud, but then leaps up and makes a ridiculously athletic catch for a white boy. It was a beautiful sight to see. He pulls it in. Atlanta converts on 4th and 14. They stay alive. They have a couple of good plays after that, and all of a sudden they find themselves in field goal range. And let me talk about the kicker for Atlanta, Gonzalez. This guy comes out here every time this kicker for Atlanta runs out on the field. He runs out there. It's like he's got a routine. And listen, man, you think about kickers. If they don't have some kind of routine, like what are we doing? Some kind of ritual, something that gets you locked in to go and do your job. I know that when this show is getting ready to go live and it's counting down, I'll close my eyes and I'll get in that place to deliver the best show I can for you guys. It's no different. And so this kicker for Atlanta, Gonzalez, he runs out there with his helmet off, and I think the guy's got a touch of autism. And I think for a kicker, that's a good thing. If you're autistic and all you care about is kicking footballs through uprights, you're going to be a pretty good kicker. This guy, Gonzalez, he runs out there like Rain Man, dude. He runs out there with his helmet off, and he goes like this. He like impulsive. It's like you can watch him do his hair. He does this. He just impulsively does this. He runs out there and he's like this. He's like this. He's like this. And then he finally throws his helmet on. And the way he I just love it, man. I love it. I love an autistic kicker, guys. And he goes out there. The second I saw this kicker for Atlanta, Gonzalez, doing this. Okay. All right, now we're ready. I knew he was going to knock it through. I knew he was going to end it. And I knew with 4 seconds left, I knew he was going to end it. And on the other side, Tampa Bay gives up the NFC South. I think they've won the division now 4 years running, something like that. They give up the division to the Panthers. I think half a game, the Panthers now have sole control of the NFC South. One of the worst divisions in football, by the way. I think the AFC North is worse this year, but the NFC South is probably the second worst overall, top to bottom division in football. And I just remember, dude, I mentioned this on a podcast a while ago. Some Panthers podcast that had like 100 followers on Instagram went viral. Bleacher Report posted about him. It was some I forget what the name of it was. It's something to do with a cat, right? And this podcast went viral early in the year. It was a Panthers podcast. Bleacher Report posts about him, and it goes viral because these guys shut down their Panthers podcast that they've been doing for years because the team was bad. And week 15, you turn around, and the Panthers are in sole control going into week 15 of the NFC South. Now, the Buccaneers have not played the Panthers yet. The Buccaneers and the Panthers will play 2 out of the last 3 weeks of the season. So, in terms of watching how the NFC South turns out, it might just be cinema. Atlanta is mathematically eliminated. Atlanta last night playing for pride, and sometimes those are the most dangerous teams. The teams that want to play spoiler, especially in a division game. They want to ruin the season for the team on the other side, a division rival that they hate. And we saw Atlanta show a different side of themselves last night. So Kirk Cousins played his butt off. 3 touchdown passes to Kyle Pitts. Zane Gonzalez finished the game with a 43-yard field goal. 29-28 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I said, 3rd and 28. The Falcons were facing in negative territory. Game on the line. They pick up 14 on 3rd down, and then they complete another 14-yard pass. A 20-yard pass on 4th and 14 to David Sills, the 5th, to set up the kicker to hit the game winner. Baker threw a crucial interception in the 4th quarter. The Bucs lose for the 5th time out of 6 games to fall to a half-game deficit to the Carolina Panthers in the NFC South. The Bucs are a 4-time defending division champs. And this is a trend, guys. We're seeing teams that have held the reins in divisions for years, potentially in a spot to not win their division. Let's look at the chat here. IJS66I, thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. So Todd Bowles, the coach of the Bucs, and the Bucs are wearing their Kareem School jerseys. It was the 48th anniversary of the franchise's first win. And the Bucs seemingly needing to get a win here could not pull it out. Baker Mayfield was in MVP discussions early in the year. He has definitely fallen out of those discussions. I think Matt Stafford's the MVP, guys. Okay, if we're going to call a spade, I hate the fact that other players at other positions don't get a chance for the MVP, but let's call a spade. It's a quarterback award. And so if you want my pick for MVP, it's Matt Stafford. The Rams doing what they're doing. I think they got a 53% chance to secure the number 1 seed in the NFC. Well-run organization. Great head coach, obviously. And he and Stafford have that connection. But Baker, man, I mean, shows beautiful, beautiful football playing sides at times. Other times, like last night, the opposite. And he says, this one is going to haunt me. It falls on my shoulders. It's not the defense's fault. It's my fault. Let's give Baker a hand for taking some accountability. Being a man, taking some accountability. You love to see that. Todd Bowles, the head coach, he was pissed. He was dropping F-bomb after F-bomb. You got to effing care enough to where the shit hurts. It's got to. Why do I start burping every time I go on this podcast, guys? I don't burp at all throughout the course of the day. I start burping. Maybe it's because I'm nervous. We do this every day. I ain't nervous. It's got to effing mean something to you. It's more than a job. It's your fucking livelihood. How well do you know your job? How well can you do your job? You can't sugarcoat that shit. We've got to get up and go to work tomorrow, no matter how bad today looks. You've got to put it behind you, and we've got to win the last 3 games. We know that. The Bucs still have about a 50% chance to make the playoffs. I'd imagine that the NFC wildcard race is pretty hot, pretty competitive. Let's see if we can find a Google image for it. You got LA at the number 1 seed, Seattle, Green Bay at the number 2 seed, Philly at the 3 seed, Tampa at the 4. Are they still in the lead? Let's see. NFC current playoff picture. I don't know if this is going to be. Let's see. Okay, this is from NFL.com. Nothing. Well, I got this laptop. You guys see this laptop right here? It's kind of slow. Okay, Rams in the 1, Packers at the 2, Philly in the 3, Carolina Panthers in the 4, Seattle in the 5, San Francisco in the 6, Chicago in the 7. And on the outside looking in, you got Detroit, you got Tampa, Dallas is done, Minnesota's done. Well, damn. The Bears are going to have that wild card spot locked up. Currently, they got a 61% chance to make the playoffs. If they win this weekend, the Bears on that last spot in the NFC wild card. If they win, they have a 70% chance to get in. If they lose, and they have Cleveland this week, so they should win that. If they lose, their playoff probability drops to 43%. The San Francisco 49ers play the Titans this week. If they lose, they still have an 82% chance to make the playoffs at 9-4 in that wild card spot. Their current probability is 93%, and if they win, they have a 95% chance to get into the playoffs. So you think about the NFC South. All right. If you're the Bucs and you want to get into the playoffs, you got to win this division. You got to go and win the last 3 games, and that's true to Todd Bowles' narrative with all the F-bombs that he dropped in his press conference last night. The Lions are on the outside looking in. This is unfamiliar territory. I think the ending to this NFL season is going to be absolute cinema, regardless of how it turns out. Detroit, unfamiliar territory. Kansas City, unfamiliar territory. The Colts, who were once regarded as the best team in AFC, are now on the outside looking in at 8-5. If they lose to Seattle this weekend, we're in the AFC now. If the Colts lose to Seattle this weekend, they only have a 23% chance to make the playoffs. Their current odds, 29%. If they find a way to beat Seattle this weekend with a 13.5-point spread, it's the biggest spread of the weekend in the NFL. Indianapolis at Seattle. If the Colts find a way to win, they run Phillip Rivers out there, and the 44-year-old carves up one of the great defenses in the league right now. The Colts' chances to make the playoffs are at 53%. But God, it's tough for Indy, man. It's tough. We talked about it earlier this week. Indy down the stretch. They got Seattle this weekend. They got San Francisco the weekend after that. And then they wrap up the season with 2 division games, Houston and Jacksonville. All 4, some of the best teams in the league right now. Outside looking in on the AFC playoff picture. We are in full playoff picture mode right now on this episode, guys. The Ravens right now have a 34% chance to make the playoffs at 6-7. They're second in the AFC North. They are playing in Cincinnati this weekend. Look, guys, it's going to be 10 degrees in Cincinnati this weekend. I'm going back home to Lexington, which is basically Cincinnati, hours south of it. And I'm getting ready, man, because I'm sitting in 75 degrees in Phoenix right now, and it's going to be like a high of 12 all week next week in Lexington, going back for the holidays. The Chiefs at an unfamiliar spot, in the 10th spot in the AFC right now, also at 6-7. If they lose this weekend at the LA, I don't know if they're at LA or if they're at home. I think they're playing there. If they lose to the Chargers, the Chiefs have less than a 1% chance to make the playoffs. This is vastly unfamiliar. If they get the win, their chances go up to 17%. Currently, the Bengals are still technically in playoff contention at 3rd in the AFC North. If they lose to Baltimore at home this weekend, they are eliminated from the playoffs. Currently, the Bengals' chances are 2%. If they win, their chances go up to 5%. For the most part, it's a lost season in Cincinnati. We talked about Joe Burrow's presser yesterday, reacted to that. It's shaping up, guys. The playoff picture is absolutely shaping up. What else do we got? What else did I miss from the Tampa Bay Atlanta game? Apparently, Pitts earned a bunch of bonuses last night. My outline says 30 to 50 million. No shot. And then you saw the Bijan Robinson post-game interview on Thursday Night Football talking about smear the queer, and he had to go on Twitter and apologize for that. I don't see why you got to apologize, man. It's a kid's game. Everybody who watches football knows about it. Anybody who gets offended by some shit like that is a snowflake and probably gets offended by 8 to 10 other things on a daily basis. We got to stop worrying about offending people, man. We really got to stop and just acknowledge the reality. Smear the Queer is a game that young boys have played for a long, long time. Times are probably different. You know, you probably raise the kids a little softer now where you don't teach them that anymore. But listen, man, they have to apologize for that. That's Bush League. I don't agree with that. What else? Mentioned that earlier. Pitt's finally breaking out after the bus narrative. He plays really well last night. Falcons climbing back. This says back into playoff conversation. I know for a fact Atlanta is eliminated. I don't know. These AI outlines, man. The Falcons are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Arizona's eliminated. New Orleans eliminated. Washington eliminated. And New York Giants, they were the... Damn, man. The Giants had so much buzz early in the year. And now they sit at 2-11. It's just brutal, man. Absolutely brutal. The Jets have a better record at 3-10 than the Giants. Absolutely brutal to be a New York football fan, guys. What else? Anything I missed from the Thursday night game? Here's some hot takes. Pitts can actually produce in big moments. I mean, we saw it last night. Other than last night, I don't really know of any games even close to this caliber that Kyle Pitts has had. Dual threat running backs like Robinson are unstoppable. Well, they had their moments. They forced a fumble on Bijan Robinson when Atlanta was backed up, and Tampa goes on to capitalize with a touchdown. That's when they went up 2 possessions of the fourth, or going into the fourth quarter. And that's when I muted the TV to make a clip from the show. And then I get done making the clip, and all of a sudden I unmute it, and it's 26-28. Atlanta with a chance to win the game. They go down and do it. Damn. Yeah, there's nothing in here in my outline that we haven't already said. Okay. The verified reality for the Indianapolis Colts going into the game Sunday is that Phillip Rivers is going to be starting at Seattle. We were unsure when they made the move. They bring him onto the practice squad. They have to have activated him to the active roster at this point. And we had an inkling that Indy was going to run Phillip Rivers out there this Sunday. And true to form, true to what the Bengals did week 6 against the Packers with Joe Flacco, the Colts look like they're going to run Phillip Rivers out there to start the game on Sunday against Seattle. It's going to be absolute cinema. And all eyes are going to be on the NFL with less college football this weekend. Less college football. Like I said earlier in the show, I was tempted to say we didn't have any college football. We got Army, Navy, we got FCS playoffs. If you're a real football guy, you'll have eyes on that. And we will, because we're real football guys. Look, man, I think Phil Rivers is ready to ball. I think he's ready to go out there and sling it. I think the Colts definitely cover that 13.5-point spread. I hope they do, at least. As my former employer, I'm a bit biased. You know, it's fun to watch McAfee talk about all this because he's biased as hell toward Indy as well. And I agree with Pat. I think the Colts are ready to ball. I think Phil Rivers is going to run out there and show people that at 44, you could still sling the rock a little bit. Colts are dealing with fallout from Danny Jones' injury, obviously. The Colts are in desperation mode. They got 4 of the best teams in football coming down the stretch to end the season. They are in a bleak spot. They were once the 1 seed in the AFC, and now outside looking in. Look, I'm a bit skeptical, but this is a cool moment, guys. This is potential for a guy like Phillip Rivers to show his stuff and really cement a Hall of Fame moment. I think, and there's a debate on this going around the street on whether Phil Rivers is a Hall of Famer or not. I think if he doesn't play another snap, Phil Rivers is a Hall of Famer, just based on the consistency, right? You don't have that many big moments. You don't have that many, like, cornerstone moments in Phil Rivers' lore, But when I was a kid, man, he was always in the playoffs. He was always taking that Chargers team to the playoffs. He's always talking smack and not cussing and saying dadgummit. He's a great personality. He's an Alabama boy. I lived in Alabama for 4 years. I am very biased towards Phil Rivers. I sold tickets for Phil Rivers for half a year when I was still working in Indy, and they signed him that offseason. But this is what Phil Rivers wants. Apparently, it's going to be rain and cold weather in Seattle. You know, par for the course. Seattle, I think it rains like 300 days a year or something. But the weather conditions are going to be a factor. This is going to be a really, really tough ask for Phillip Rivers. I always respect teams, organizations that are in tougher weather climates that still play outdoors. And Seattle's one of those teams, one of those organizations. This is what Phil Rivers wants, guys. Weather conditions. Colts-Seahawks matchup is going to be critical for both teams. I mean, I think Seattle gets in regardless of what happens the rest of the way for them. They've proved they're one of the best teams in football. They definitely got an advantage with the weather because they're used to that stuff. I bet they've been practicing outside all week, so they'll be ready. Older quarterbacks, you wonder if the weather is that much of a factor to them. You wonder if the weather is going to be that much of a factor for Phil Rivers or whether he's going to come out ready. I mean, obviously, he's been on the couch. He's been coaching football. He's been eating that bio fried shrimp for the last 4 years. It's good down there in Fairhope and Mobile. The oysters are good down there in Fairhope and Mobile. You know, I hope Phil Rivers got his fill of oysters this week before he left Southern Alabama to go practice in Indy, because that's an aphrodisiac. We need the blood flowing down south for Phil Rivers to come out here and at least cover that 13.5-point spread for Indy against one of the best teams in football, the Seattle Seahawks. I hope Phil Rivers got his fill while he was down there in South Alabama of oysters, so that he goes into this game in Seattle bricked up, ready to rock, like I know he will be. The film will show if he can compete or not. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of fans of the show that I think watch on a daily basis but forget to subscribe. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's the biggest, most important thing. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, so let's take a look at anything else we should know about this Colts-Seahawks game. Hot takes. Again, if you guys are new to the show, we use AI to create an outline for the show on a daily basis, keep us on track. And one thing the AI does for us is create hot takes. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes it's Captain Obvious and it doesn't help us at all. And sometimes the takes are so bad that we got to condemn them to hell. So let's take a look at our hot takes around the Colts-Seahawks game this weekend. 44-year-old shouldn't be in the NFL. Desperation created this moment. I agree with the second half of that statement. This is a desperation move by Indy to save what was once a promising season. No doubt that we have a shortage of quarterbacks in the NFL. Cincinnati went through it earlier in the year, and injuries too. Big part of the reason we have a shortage of quarterbacks in the NFL is the injury bug has been rampant in the league this year. Danny Jones tore his Achilles. Jaden Daniels in Washington has had a terrible time with injuries. Joey B with the turf toe. And I'm not sure what other quarterbacks have gotten hurt. I mean, obviously, Brock Purdy's been struggling with injuries. I haven't watched the 49ers close to at all this year. Cold weather might actually help. According to this outline, Phillip Rivers' strength historically has come when cold weather struck down on the games that he played in. Seahawks either blow out the Colts or close game shows how bad quarterback depth is. What does that mean? It's really all or nothing, and I think that's the narrative for the Colts coming down the stretch here. It's either going to be an absolute disaster for Indy, playing the best four of the best teams in the league the last 4 games of the year, or it's a Hall of Fame moment. But regardless, and I want the Colts to succeed as much as anybody. They used to pay my bills. They used to help me pay my bills. I want the Colts to succeed as bad as anybody. But even if Indy finds a way to go 2-2 the next 4 games against 4 of the best teams in the league, do we really think they're going to make a playoff run? Look, they got to pound the rock. They got to hand the ball to Jonathan Taylor. If Indy has a chance to win this game this Sunday, it's because Jonathan Taylor gets 20 to 25 carries. It goes for 150 or, God forbid, 200 and a couple touchdowns. That's the only way that Indy stands a chance, not just the last 4 weeks of the season, but down the stretch in the playoffs. Look, I think the hope of a Super Bowl in Indy has completely faded for this season. Let's just call it what it is. I think the hope for a playoff run Super Bowl is completely out of the mind of the Indianapolis Colts and the fans of the Indianapolis Colts. But it's got a great chance to be really fun the last 4 weeks of the year for Indy. Or it could be an absolute disaster, and a once promising team this season fades into the other. And I hope that doesn't happen. Like I said, the Colts used to pay my bills. Other than the Bengals, that's the number 1 team I support. I guess if I could just say it concisely, it's the number 2 team for me in the league that I support most. Because they supported me. And I do think this take is good here on the outline. This game determines the entire narrative for the Colts for the rest of the year. I think that might be a Captain Obvious statement. You know, Phil Rivers at 44 in the rain is either perfect or a disaster. There's no middle ground. I agree with that. If the Colts win this, we have to talk about it differently. I agree. Seahawks can't lose to a 44-year-old or the whole season is a question. I disagree with that. The Seahawks have put together a good body of work. What's their record? It's like 8-4, 9-4, 10-3. Look, man, like Seattle could lose out and they'll make the playoffs. They'll be fine. I disagree with that take, that Seattle season. But I would understand why people would throw it into question. Look, however you shake it, it's either it's 44-year-old Phil Rivers and you should have beat him anyway, or it's you lost to Phil Rivers, you must be 44-year-old Phil Rivers, you must be terrible. There's no middle ground. And what gets lost in translation there is that Phil Rivers probably won't get enough credit regardless of how it shakes out. This weather is the only chance Rivers has. He needs it cold. Interesting. And I'd have to think back. I mean, it's just like thinking back on my childhood, thinking back on my teenage years. I mean, it's like you saw Phil Rivers in the division round in the AFC every single year. The consistency is what sticks out to me with Phil Rivers. It's not these big flash in the pan, moments. Eli Manning is great, but, you have the David Tyree head catch in the Super Bowl. You beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. I get it. Phil Rivers doesn't have any real moments like that. But the consistency is what sticks out to me. And that's something I value in my life, is consistency, just being there, being in the mix. And Phil Rivers, I think, embodies that. Regardless of what happens the rest of the year for Indy, regardless of what happens the rest of Phil Rivers' career, I'd guess that regardless of how this season shakes out, that this is the last time we're going to get we're going to see Phil Rivers play football. So let's enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? Let's enjoy this. My young heart is fluttering that a quarterback from the 2004 draft class is suiting up to start a game at quarterback in the year of our Lord 2025. Jesus Christ. Think about that. Think about how special that is. Think about how that reflects on the quarterback market in this game right now. The injuries that have plagued the league all year. You got teams in desperation mode. But that doesn't take away from the fact that, at least for my adolescent heart, that watching Phil Rivers run out there again at 29 years old for me is pretty damn cool. It's pretty damn cool. Okay, what else? NFL QB depth is so bad, we need retirement age quarterbacks playing in December. That's true. We just touched on that. How much does cold weather actually help older quarterbacks? Look, man, it's less about the weather, less about the conditions, and more about a guy being able to show up and do his job regardless of the external circumstances. That's the advantage you get with a guy like Phil Rivers, who's been there, done that before so many times. Now, will his body be able to hold up? The Colts have one of the great offensive lines in the league, so I doubt he's going to be getting hit that much. Seattle does have a gnarly front. I think you got what's his name, Leonard Williams up there, big dog, big Samoan looking guy. I'm not sure if Leonard, is that his name, Leonard Williams? Fact check myself. Yeah, big Leonard Williams. I'm not sure if he's black or Samoan or a little bit of both, like The Rock. But Leonard Williams, big, scary guy. He's a defensive end for the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to be trying to get home on Phil Rivers. You got tons and tons of players talking about how hard Phillip Rivers has been to sack throughout the course of his career. We'll see if he's mobile and froggy enough to avoid getting hit that much, especially in this cold weather. That's really the main question, is can his old bones hold up for the remainder of the season, and if they make the playoffs, potential playoff push. I think for Indy, the key to the game is to just pound the rock. And I think Seattle knows that that's coming. Seattle knows that Indy's still got the best running back in the league in Jonathan Taylor. And Indy is going to have to pound the rock. They're going to have success running the football. Their offensive linemen are going to have to be nothing short of absolute road graders. Quentin Nelson, and I'm not sure, I can't remember who else is on the Colts O-line right now. I promise I know ball, guys. Okay. Something about Ohio State on here. Coordinator exodus. Apparently Kentucky, my hometown Kentucky Wildcats, hired Ohio State's defensive coordinator. I don't know if he got a promotion or why the hell he would leave Ohio State for Kentucky. But apparently that happened. I need to verify that. But we got the Patriots-Bills this weekend. That'll be a really intriguing game in an AFC East showdown. Bills coming off a Josh Allen MVP caliber snow game against my Bengals. Absolutely heartbreaking. I still am not sure if I've emotionally unpacked that Bengals-Bills game from Sunday. I watched it with my cousin in New Orleans. He was able to watch the show of me watching the Bengals week in, week out. I was getting requests on Snapchats to make sure that I cover the game live, and I just didn't have the heart to do it, man. I could not have fathomed a more heartbreaking way to lose. We talked about this this week on the show. Why can't the Bengals just lose in a normal way? Offense sells tickets. Defense wins championships. The Bengals, we ranted about this yesterday. We've ranted about this ad nauseum on the show. The Bengals ownership and front office is more interested in bottom line profits than they are actually winning football games. And that's why you see the Joe Burrow press conference go down the way it is. A competitor like him that wants to win is frustrated with a front office that is just happy with collecting the checks, man, of being a part of it. I haven't gotten over that Bills game, man. And the Bills fans talking trash on Twitter has absolutely burned me up, guys. The Bills are so, for some reason, the Bills fans are so fixated on the Bengals and Joe Burrow. For some reason. I'll say it right here, right now. There's no reason for them to be fixated on the Bengals. There's absolutely no reason. They talk about the Damar Hamlin game and how our fans like treated Damar Hamlin badly or whatever. Like, I think they're just emotionally they have to find some type of fan base or team to like take out that emotional baggage of that Damar Hamlin game on, and it just so happens that it happened against the Bengals. T. Higgins is out. He hit his head a ton of times against Buffalo. There were 2 or 3 plays on Sunday in that snow game in Buffalo where T went up for a ball and just fell back down on his head, and we all know how concussions go. It's like an onion. The more you peel it back, the deeper you get, the more concussions you get, the easier it is to get another one. So T. Higgins is going to be out. He will not be playing against Baltimore and Cincinnati on Sunday. Patriots coming off a big win as well. 95% chance of snow on Sunday in Buffalo, right there on the Great Lakes. Hat and T-shirt game weather. Only snow game of the season. What does that mean? Outline says only snow game of the season first week. That doesn't make any sense. First time Drake May playing in a playoff stakes snow game. We will see Drake May be tested in this game in Buffalo, a snow game. 95% chance of snow. Should be a fun one. My eyes will be on it. Talking about Drake May's hand size. Josh Allen, much larger hands. Makes me think of Uncle Jack from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You guys, I don't know if that's resonating with anybody in the chat, but if you watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you remember Uncle Jack, who's always fixated on the size of his hands. He wore fake hands in court. He was a lawyer. Had a particular affinity for pictures of young kids. And he was always fixated on the size of his hands. He would wear big fake Hulk hands when he was doing a testimony in court. And that's what this outline's reminding me of right now. Talk about the size of Drake May and Josh Allen's hands. Wearing big fake hands. Drake May hasn't played in playoff stakes snow game yet. That is true. Patriots favored despite the snow advantage typically going to the Bills. I think Patriots win this one. I hope Patriots win this one just based on the heartbreak and frustration that the Bills-Bengals game caused me last week. The way their fans acted on Twitter really bothered me, just as a Bengals fan. The exact snow percentage is 95%. Drake May hasn't been tested in snow yet. Hand size matters in snow. That's a ball control. I think, now that I think about it, dude, you think about that Christian Benford pick six and the way that ball came out of Joe Burrow's hands. A big complaint about Joe Burrow, if there were any, when he was going into the NFL Combine, was the size of his hands. And that ball came out weird in the snow on Sunday when the Bengals were playing the Bills, and Christian Benford secures that pick six. Was it the size of Joe's hands? Could be, man. Could be. I'm just realizing all of this in real time. The reason that the Bengals lost to the Bills on Sunday was because Joe Burrow's hands weren't big enough playing in the snow. My God, we come to realizations every now and then on this show, and I think we just came to one. If Joe Burrow just had hands a couple of quarter inches bigger, maybe that pick six to Christian Benford doesn't happen, but it happened. We can't do anything to change it. We can't really hypothesize on it much more than that, if hypothesize is even a word. What else, man? Chargers, Chiefs. Gigantic for the AFC West. Chiefs are favored. They're playing at home. We just confirmed that. 76% of the bets are on the Chargers getting 5.5 points. We got to fade the public, guys. The money-making moves have been fading the public. That's been the story of this NFL season, maybe in college football too. Fade to public. That's my pick. Chiefs minus 5.5 and a must win, but that's the only rationale I got. I love hating on the Chiefs, and they sure as hell ain't the same damn Chiefs that we've used to been seeing the last decade. So do with that what you will. Of course, we're not providing financial advice on this show. Any bet you make is your own decision to make. Don't be coming back to me saying, "Dupe, you gave me Chiefs minus 5.5 and the Chargers won by 28." I don't think that'll happen, but Chargers coming off a primetime win. They beat Philly in a great game on Monday night. Short week for the LA Chargers. Jim Harbaugh potentially upset about the Michigan situation. I don't think that's much of a factor here. Chargers have negative vibes despite a primetime win. That's what my outline's saying. I don't know what negative vibes would be boring the Chargers down after a big win against Philadelphia. Kelsey's down in the dumps. Texas defense affected him heavily. He's human, and we all are. What am I saying there? Kelsey appeared on New Heights podcast sounding bummed out. And he said it himself. I felt bummed out. I was bummed. I guess he went on McAfee today. Texans defense can do things to people, and that's the hallmark of great defenses. And they did something to Travis Kelce on Sunday night. They were tackling, they were hitting. They didn't give a shit about the cold weather. They were driving, wrapping up, and finishing guys to the ground. Pause. Kelce's slump is real. It's not just stats, it's emotional. He's got the Taylor Swift broad probably nagging at him when he gets home every night. I make more money than you. We haven't done enough carbon emissions with our jet this week. Let's fly over to the Starbucks coffee shop a block away. That's what Taylor Swift is telling Travis Kelce. Chiefs' vulnerabilities exposed in that Sunday night game. System argument is valid. We said that Patrick Mahomes was a system quarterback on the show a couple days ago, and kind of like that take. For the perspective of a Chiefs hater, I'd like to take that Patrick Mahomes is a system quarterback. Chargers building momentum even with negative vibes. I don't understand why the Chargers have negative vibes. It's playoff level intensity in December. We talked about the Falcons-Bucs game. Falcons beat Bucs in dramatic fourth quarter comeback fashion. They're on a bit of a slide. They've lost, I think, 4 out of their last 5. Tampa expected to dominate. Falcons beat them. Damn. Okay. Let's look at the betting lines for Sunday. Get you guys out of here. New York Jets at Jacksonville Jags. Jags are 13.5-point favorites. Give me the Jets to cover that in a shocker. I'm just being a contrarian. I have no other basis for that. This is not financial advice, by the way. Make your own assessments and take accountability for your own bets, but I'm just giving my 2 cents, okay? Cardinals at Texans, 9.5-point spread there in favor of the Texans. Give me the Houston to cover that. Houston's defense is humming. Buffalo at New England. Wait a minute. We just said that my outline must have messed up. It says that Buffalo's playing in New England. There might still be a 95% chance of snow in New England. New England is 1.5-point favorites at home. Give me the Patriots to cover that. I think the Patriots win outright. That money line is even pay at plus 100. I really would probably just take the Patriots money line. LA Chargers at Arrowhead. 5.5-point favorites are the Chiefs. 76% of the public money is on the Chargers to cover that. So I'm going to fade the public and take the Chiefs minus 5.5. Vegas Raiders at Eagles, 11.5-point spread. Give me the Eagles to cover that at home. That should be easy for them. Cincinnati at home against Baltimore. My Bengals in shambles. They've got to win out, and I don't think they will. But give me the Bengals to cover in that game. That's my biased opinion there. Commanders at Giants. Washington is a 2.5-point dog to the New York Giants. This game, objectively, if I was betting my own money, I would stay the hell away from. But give me the Commanders to cover that 2.5 points. I don't know why they're underdogs. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is out. The Commanders have been ass this year, so that's probably part of it. Browns at Bears. 7.5-point favorites are the Bears. Give me Cleveland to cover that in a shocker of a game. I don't think they'll win, but I think they keep it within 7 for sure. Somehow. It's NFL. Titans at 49ers. 12.5-point spread. You're really seeing the narrative here. There's teams that Vegas believes in, and there's teams that Vegas has written off. These spreads are huge. San Francisco plays the Titans at home. 12.5-point spread. Give me the Niners on the spread there. Lions at Rams. This could be a trap game for the Rams. We once thought the Lions were one of the contenders in the NFC, and they are currently on the outside looking in. I would guess that they're going to be playing inspired, and we got them on the afternoon slate, going to SoFi Stadium to play MVP candidate Matthew Stafford. Give me the Lions to cover 5.5 there. Carolina at New Orleans. Carolina only 2.5-point favorites. I would imagine the small spread is due to a wonky NFC South and division games. Anything can happen. Give me Carolina to cover that, though. Green Bay at Denver. Another afternoon game. Green Bay comes out as 2.5-point favorites against Denver Broncos. Give me Denver to cover that at home. Indy at Seattle. Again, one of the biggest spreads of the week, 13.5 points spread. I'm betting on Phil Rivers. I'm betting on my Colts. I'm betting on the shoe to cover that 13.5-point spread in the rain. The 44-year-old comes out and balls and starts a Hall of Fame moment in his career as the Colts come down a brutal 4-game stretch to end the season. Vikings at Cowboys. That's the Sunday night game. My God, that's brutal. I probably won't watch that. Cowboys 6.5-point faves. Give me the Vikings to cover that. Monday night, you got Miami at Pittsburgh to round out Week 15. Pittsburgh 3-point favorites at home. Pittsburgh very inconsistent. They're coming off a great game against Baltimore last week. I would guess that they're going to have a down week this week against Miami. Give me Miami to cover 3 points. And that is the end of our show today. Appreciate everybody popping in, guys. We're right here at about an hour. Appreciate everybody showing love on Instagram. The clips have been doing great. TikTok clips have been doing great. Thanks for everyone showing support on the shorts. But I implore you, show support on the longs too. Subscribe to the channel. I know we picked up a couple subs today. I appreciate everyone who subbed. If you're watching this and you're not subbed, I'd imagine the algorithm brought you here because you like football. If you like football, you're going to love our channel. Madden streams, daily podcasts, commentary, live commentary. It's all here, guys. We're here every single day, and we have no reason to ever stop. I ain't never going to stop. And that's just the cold, hard truth. You can find us on audio platforms. I got to update that stuff for this week's episode. But if you want to make your girl listen to football in the car, this is a perfect show to do that. Perfect amount of rants, ball knowledge, everything. So tap in, guys. I'm telling you, tap in with the fastest growing football channel in the land. And that's just that. Da-da-da-da-da. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. We will see you on Monday. Maybe a Madden stream tonight. We'll see. God bless. All right. Oh, my gosh. Here, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come here, puppy. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at this dog. Look at this dog. Turn around and look at the kid. Look. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is Jasper. Oh my gosh. Look at this dog. I'm not done streaming yet. I'm still live. Do you have anything to say to the people? What do you have to say? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Are you a good boy? Look. Oh my gosh. Look. You're a good boy. I'm going to turn off the live when you go down. So whenever you want the show to be over, just you go down. Okay. All right, guys. Love y'all. Appreciate it. Subscribe to the